I'm Deep Mahaman and you're watching the Redmen TV.
Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV with the news that Liverpool have agreed a fee in the region of £12.5 million for Nathaniel Clyne. I thought I'd do what I did for Firmino and I'd bring you a little stat attack on the player himself. Okay, Nathaniel Clyne, a player that we know quite well because he's plied his trade in the Premier League for the last couple of years. He's 23 years old. I think we all know that he's a right fullback. It's a reported fee agreed of 12.5, possibly rising to closer to £15 million. Currently plays for Southampton. He's an England international, 5 caps. Yes, part of the second best defence in the league last season, and he signed for Southampton in 2012 from Crystal Palace for £1.76 million. Moving on, last season he made 35 appearances, scoring 2 goals with no assists. He made 3.3 tackles per game, 1.8 interceptions per game, 0.6 fouls per game, 2.2 clearances per game, and he was dribbled past just shy of 1 time per game, 0.9, and he made 0.2 blocks per game. Interestingly enough, I thought, for comparison, I thought I'd have a look at Glenn Johnson's. Now, he does come out favourably compared to Glenn Johnson, but it's a little bit closer than you'd think, in fairness. Glenn Johnson made 1.6 tackles as opposed to 3.3. He made 0.9 interceptions, which is half as many exactly as Nathaniel Clyne. He made 2.3 clearances, so there or thereabouts, slightly better. Exactly the same amount of blocks, 0.2. But Glenn Johnson, interestingly enough, was dribbled past less per game than Nathaniel Clyne. 0.6 for Glenn Johnson, 0.9 for Nathaniel Clyne. Interesting, really, because I thought Glenn Johnson was absolutely crap last season. And it looks like, through the stats, of course, that actually it's a little bit closer than you'd think. So that's quite interesting. But, strengths and weaknesses, I think Nathaniel Clyne's strengths, from what I've seen of him, his passing's really good, his tackling's really good, and his crossing's really good. And his weaknesses, I would say, would be his aerial duels, which is something that we were targeted on the left-hand side of Moreno last season. But, look, I wanted to see this time, instead of looking at the proper strengths and weaknesses in depth, there's not that many, I thought I'd look at what Ronald Koeman said about him. So I went back to September 2014, and I quote, "In my opinion, Clyne is one of the best right full-backs that I've had in my teams during the last 15 years. That means a lot because I like to play with offensive right and left full-backs, and he has the qualities, he's fast and gives good crosses." As I said, that's Ronald Koeman speaking before his England call-up in September 2014. What's interesting there is he said during his last 15 years, so I don't know if you know a lot about Ronald Koeman or not, but he has managed some decent sides over those 15 years. I actually won a couple of league titles, I think 2001, 2004 in the Eredivisie in Holland. He also won the league again in Holland with PSV after moving to, I think it was Benfica. He didn't win the league with Benfica over in Portugal though. So look, PSV, Ajax, Benfica, he's managed some decent sides. So for him to come out there and say that this is the best right back that he's managed, I think it's good. And for me, looking at the fee, yeah, it does seem a little bit high, 12, 15 million, whatever you want to call it, for a right fullback. But we got Moreno last season for 12 and we were all made up. I think Moreno's still got a little bit to prove, but if Moreno's worth 12 million, I think a lot of people say that he is, then for me, Nathaniel Clyne's worth 15. Anyway, that's me. That's the stat attack for Nathaniel Clyne. Chris Pajak for the Redmen TV, signing off.
3, 4, 5, 6, speed it up, Phil. 7, 8, 9.